Hello everyone, welcome to Kung Fu Journey. I'm your host, John Lee, and today we'll be interviewing Sifu Garry Hearfield from Warrior Body Buddha Mind. And it's a group that teaches or learning the art of Yao Gong Mun, learning palm and Do Wei and various arts. And I've got a pleasure here meeting Sifu, and he's going to share some of the history of various art and his journey about how he perceived to learn Kung Fu from different masters, and to now where he elaborated all his art together to form a program that he teaches a lot of people across the globe. And it's been a pleasure to know Garry for many years, and I hope that we will try to share as much as we can with the time given, with the type of training this does, and the type of method he uses, and his thinking, and also most importantly his thinking about where martial arts should be today. Because there's a lot of obviously a lot of people have also raised the question where the traditional martial arts actually really worth learning as compared to WMA. So we will be asking all these hard questions, and hopefully that we will give you some sort of answers that you probably will take home with you from this video, and that will benefit your training.
Thanks, okay. Alright, so when I was about 8 years old,
yes.
My parents put me in judo, to burn off some energy and stuff like that, and make me sleep better. But I didn't consider that as a real part of my journey. But time I got to about 12 years old, I started with Hapkido.
Yes.
Yeah, and by 15 I won the Australian Hapkido Association tournament. Yeah, gold medal.
Yes.
At that time, of course, it was only semi-contact. I started to get the feel for wanting to really see how good I am, you know.
Yes, yes.
Being semi-contact, it's only really half the bullshit.
Well, we consider like there's many layers in Kung Fu, as you know.
I think most people should start off with the semi-contact if they've never fought before, right?
Yes.
Because they actually get the feel of the fear, you know, timing, you know, all the different aspects of fighting. Sooner or later, you'll have to face some type of combat.
Combat, okay. So, I know that in the 70s in Sydney, Chinatown, when Master Leung Cheung, when he came from Hong Kong to start the school at Yao Gong Mun, in those days, I remember my dad was into Choi Li Fat. He was a Choi Li Fat practitioner, and we had Choi Li Fat people. We had Wei Kring from Bahok people, you know, from Chanafu. And when we heard about your Sifu was starting a gun in Dixon Street in Tongan in Chinatown, we kids were very fascinated about it. So, how did you came about meeting your Sifu?
Okay. Back to the fighting part.
Yeah.
At that time, after I finished with the semi-contact, I started learning from Sifu John Lee, and he was the South Pacific and Australian title holder for kickboxing and kung fu, and his background was from Sifu Garry Lee for the Wing Chun Long Shen Long, and he introduced me to full contact.
Okay.
And at the time, it was just like a church hall, right? But there was something missing, the tradition, and of course I love that type of feel. I went down to Chinatown and I seeked out a traditional Kung Fu school, and back in 1985. 1985, I walked up the stairs of this gun, you know, and you'd smell the incense, and there was people, all Chinese, you know, and at that time they didn't really welcome the Guaylo, you know.
Of course, I mean, I must say that because when I was learning the martial art I was learning from my dad, we were told not to teach any Guaylo or any Westerners. And my father was very traditional as well. He didn't want to teach anyone besides, you know, you've got a bit of black hair on you. So as the Guaylo coming to the Chinese Kung Fu. I mean, we're talking about 1970s, mid-70s, or even mid-80s, where the Chinese people still don't want to share the art with the Westerners. But here you are, you rocked up at this school and you see free Chinese writing, Yao Gong Wen. What was your feeling when you walked up the stairs?
I was shitting myself.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah, because growing up with Bruce Lee and all that, and watching all the kung fu flicks back in those days, everyone wants to be like that. And I've had this passion for the Chinese culture ever since I was a kid. Actually, I used to draw temples and stuff like that. And when I walked up there and I walked in, everyone's just training, and there's sweat, there's people fighting on the stairs because it was so busy.
Yes.
And I walked in and you could just hear a pin drop. Like a Guaylo. I went, hi! And the Sifu was over at his table watching, and I walked in and everyone's just kind of like, give me stare downs and stuff like that. And then one of my Sihing, at the time I didn't know him, he said, what do you want? And I said, I want to learn Kung Fu. And he goes, go and ask the Sifu. Yeah. And I walked up and I said, I want to learn Kung Fu. and Sifu just looked at me and just looked me up and down and just said, and he just looked at me and goes, oh, and got someone to translate and said, do you think you got what it takes to want to train hard? And I said, yeah, I'm a kickboxer and stuff like that. He just laughed. And anyway, I was so eager to learn that I paid for membership, and I wanted a Yao Gong Wen t-shirt. And at the time, they never had a size for me, so they gave me a small. And it was like, I wanted it on anyway. I just wanted to be part of this system.
Part of the system, part of it.
And the smell of the herbs and the incense and you got the shrine and lion heads and weapons everywhere. I've gone, this is me.
It's almost like the Shows Brothers movie set.
It was ridiculous, but you had to prove yourself.
Yes, I believe a lot more in those than nowadays. Prove yourself to be righteous, has the discipline to carry through, able to be open-minded to learn things, in your Sifu, because obviously you came from different background already. You had your kickboxing, you had your your karate, your taekwondo, and obviously going to the Chinese traditional system, you have to really prove yourself in a lot of ways, not just physically but mentally, but also
just doing odd jobs around the wood,
Yeah.
And I used to come from school, and Sifu would either be having yamcha or doing some tita and all that, and if the door was closed, I'd sit out the front, and he would come past and go, yes, come on upstairs, and I'd be starting to practice the Tongji-kun, and hitting the bag and stuff like that. But my first lesson was probably the worst ever, because it was so enduring on the body.
Yes.
Is especially with Sifu Learn Chern.
Yes.
Your stance, your Tapma,
your Tapma has to be very, very perfect.
Walking the horse for months. Right? Nothing else except stances. So my first class, I had to get the marble. You get an incense stick. Your legs would be shaking. Right?
Yes.
And I've never done this before, right? And then I just, boom, fainted. Because the pain, I was just trying to impress Sifu, right?
Yes.
He wakes me up, massages my leg. He goes, okay, front stance. About 3 hours later, I had to get a taxi home.
Because
I couldn't walk.
You couldn't walk, yeah.
Couldn't walk. My legs were everything was just shaking,
That was a very traditional way of training. I mean, I don't think a lot of people does it this way anymore, but that was a very traditional way. So let's just go back a little bit. Before you walked into the Yao Gong Wen, Sifu Learn Chern, Did you know much about his kung fu, like what type style? I mean, obviously nowadays people can go on the internet and research and go on YouTube and see the style. But in those days, you don't have that sort of
no,
resources.
But you remember the Barbecue King tournaments, right?
Yes, I remember the Barbecue King tournament.
And the pants of Yao Gunwen always wore the black and the yellow.
Yeah. Yes.
And when I used to go and watch them, Yao Gunwen was dominating at the time.
Mm.
They were winning. They
Yeah,
won.
I remember. Yeah.
They won against all the kung fu schools. Yeah. Not all wins, but they dominated.
Most of the fights.
Yeah,
yeah.
most
I
of
remember
the
that
fights,
once a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I went up there to have a look, as soon as I saw the pants and the red Yao Gunwen, I knew from the Barbecue King that these guys must have some type of skill. Yeah, and his teacher must be pretty good. I didn't know much about Learn Chung at all. Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. And then once I started, then I started to see how he moved, and then I realised also that Yao Gunwen was split. Sigong Hahonhan was from actually Bat Mei.
Mm.
And then I started to put things together and started to go, okay, now I can see why we use all the body shapes. And
Yes.
like that. But yeah, that's how I started to learn about Yao
Yao
Gunwen.
Gunwen, yeah. Because in those days in Sydney Chinatown, there wasn't much Bat Mei people anyway, you know. And I think that when I first heard of Yao Gunwen, I just thought that Yao Gunwen must be soft type of kung fu, maybe something like Tai Chi, something like that. Obviously, from my own research and speaking to a lot of people and all that, there's actually a very rich history how Yao Gunwen came about.
Yeah.
And I know there's a couple of figures that really need to mention, which is the monk Tiyan Simsi, and he was the holder in the Yao Gunwen system in Shaolin Temple, and also a key player is Zhang Laichun Zhongxi, also your Sigong Hahong. So would you tell me a bit the story how that came about from the
Zhang Laichun?
Yeah, from the film Zhang Laichun, and then
Well, back in the early 1900s, Grandmaster Hao Hong Hung was known as Hunga and Cholifat.
Mm.
He learned from his brother Hassan.
Yeah.
Then he got to know about Zhang Laichun and studied the Bat Mei Kung Fu. And then later he split from Zhang Laichun and he actually found a monk, Tiyan.
And this is the figure we're talking about. Yeah.
And at the time, Hao Hong was still teaching Bat Mei.
Mm.
He was the #1 disciple under Zhang Laichun back in those days in Guangzhou. He was teaching the Bat Mei, but he split from Zhang Laichun. He started to learn the Yao Gunwen system. At the time, there was no name for Yao Gunwen, right?
Which is a style in the Shaolin Temple.
Yeah, it's just a soft style.
Yeah.
But the name Yao Gong Sapa Sun Toi Zheng, right? The 18 double pushing palms. And he learnt for 3 years under this Shaolin monk. And from there, he created the name Yao Gunwen when the monk left for the mountains and became a hermit. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so obviously that he's combined the two systems together, and prior to this interview, you had shown me a lot of old pictures, which a lot of the public haven't seen, and I gather that was Tiyan there because it's behind the temple.
Yeah.
And also that also there's a picture that he's actually a Zhuklam temple as well, Zhuklam Ti.
Yeah.
So there is some sort of connection between the Zhuklam sect and your Sifu as well, or Sigong as well. Now, when you get to the other system, so it's just say if you're going into learn from Yao Gunwen now and you're going into learning the Bat Mei set, all your standard Bat Mei sets. As you get a high level, what would you learn in Yao Gunwen?
Well, again, it's about proving yourself, right?
Okay.
Anyone that starts Yao Gunwen will basically start with the Tongjikyun and the Bat Mei Kung Fu.
Yeah.
That was considered as the foundation for all students. And the real Yao Gunwen is the Yao Gong Sapa
Sun Toi Zheng.
right?
Yeah.
So that was always kept in the Ha family.
Yeah.
And only the disciples and family will actually get to learn that.
Okay.
These days in Hong Kong, it's actually starting to be taught out.
Yeah.
In
Now see they're starting to listen. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
But I learned that from Ha Kwok Chern.
Ha Kwok Chern.
Yeah.
And Siba Ha Kwok Chern. So you went to Hong Kong to learn from Ha Kwok Chern as well. And I was supposed to, we had to come back after the break and we'll talk a bit more about Ha Kwok Chern.
Okay.
Gary, I want to ask you about your trip to Hong Kong first time to see Sifu Ha Kwok Chern. What started that? Did you get the okay permission from the Sifu, or did he encourage you to go there, or did you just happen just rocked up?
No. There was the 70th anniversary of Yalkumun in Hong Kong, which all the world Yalkumun come together. And at the time, Sifu told us, and I said, I'd love to go over and maybe demonstrate. And Sifu was like, oh, you're not allowed to do Sapat Mokyo. Yeah, because it was the secret type of thing.
So, Sapat Mokyo was a form that it wasn't supposed to show in public.
Yeah, Sapat Mokyo, Mangfu Chatlam.
Mangfu Chatlam, those two were the pinnacle.
So he said he really liked the way I did the Ying Qing, right?
Yeah.
Ying Qing Kyun, which is from Ha Hon, the Ha family Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
And he said, you do Ying Qing.
Okay.
And it's the longest form, it's all tension and all that. And I said, okay, no worries. I get over to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I told Siba, how about you? I said, I'm going to do the Ying Qing Kyun.
Yeah.
He goes, too long, people will be bored,
Yes.
He goes, something fast.
And
then he asked me, he goes, Sapat Mokyo. And Sifu learned Chern, like, I'm not allowed to show Sapat Mokyo. And I've gone, I don't know it. Because I didn't want to hurt my Sifu, right? So he goes, do you know Yin Jiao Lin Kyo?
Oh, yeah.
And I did Yin Jiao Lin Kyo.
Yin Jiao,
yeah, so I had to demonstrate in the Harvard's clinic and did the Yin Jiao Lin Kyo. And so on stage, got up, did Yin Jiao Lin Kyo.
And you make your Sifu very proud, obviously.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. And then I found out that Yao Guman has that what I learned, which was Bat Mei, was not the real Yao Guman. Right? And they were at the park training, and he's because he also did Wu style Tai Chi, right? He taught that.
Right?
So he taught that to people, but he kept the certain Toijang secret. So he would go around the corner when they were doing the Tai Chi, right? He'd go and do certain Toijang. And they're like, wow,
what's going on here?
And he goes, this is the real Yao Guman. And then he started, he goes, do you want to learn? And he took me in, and then I started to learn that.
Wow, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
That the master can do that, and take you in.
So it was only for people that were high level Yao Guman, disciple, people that are going to teach. Because in 1992, I started to teach. I became a Sifu under my Sifu. So when he knew I was teaching, and he obviously thought my Kung Fu wasn't too bad, he taught me the San Toijang. And when I look back, that's what was missing in Bat Mei.
Okay.
Bat Mei's missing the
internal bit of it.
Yeah, the meditative side, the spiritual part.
Yes.
Yeah. No matter you might have your Sundar and Subgum and all that, but at the end of the day, it's all about the energy and the breathing, and the real Yao Guman structure is different to the Bat Mei. So I had to untrain what I learned.
And then learn the softness of the. And I also done some research. It's a three-circle method, and that's where you try to make the people understand when you train the Yao Gong Sabat Center. There's a three-circle method, and it's a softness, and in the circle there's a straight lines, and we can go into another segment on this one. But I just want to get back to Ha Kwok Chern and Leung Chern, because obviously Sifu Leung Chern plays a majority part of your early development in Kung Fu,
Yeah.
and so forth later on Hak Lok Jeum. And I noticed that we'll show our viewers later on that we're going to go around Gary's school and show you various things that he kept and been passed on to him. And one of this is Dida medicine. Yeah. And how did you learn this Dida medicine? You see, I mean, obviously, a lot of people in today's traditional Kung Fu don't learn to Dida. They basically just learn the set and learn how to fight, and that's it. They go away.
Yeah.
They don't try to sit down, trying to learn the Dida medicine. And I think that's the integral part in any traditional Kung Fu. So what was the story about that?
Okay, because I love Kung Fu so much, I knew that the Tita, to be a good Kung Fu Sifu, you've got to know how to hurt and you've got to know how to heal, right?
Obviously.
Because anyway, when you're doing Kung Fu, you're going to get bruises,
Yes.
broken bones, and so forth. So for me, if I want to be a true Sifu, I have to learn some type of healing.
Okay.
And I don't want to do any other person's healing apart from Yao Guman, you know?
Okay.
And Hao was known as a very good healer back in China. And the medicine comes from Tidan.
Tidan, yeah.
Now, I asked Sifu Learn Chung if I can learn his Tita, because everyone knows in Australia and Sydney that he's number one.
Number one Tita, right? Obviously. Yeah.
And Sifu looked at me and goes, you're going to learn, what, 5,000 characters, Chinese characters,
Yes.
learn to speak Cantonese,
Yes.
which I couldn't do too well, right? But in Hong Kong, Hak Lok Jeum, he could speak English.
That's surprising, isn't it?
So Sifu didn't like to speak English except no good.
No good.
So I practice Kung Fu, he'll say no good.
Yeah.
So, and 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
And barbecue king as well, he knew that, right?
Yeah.
So it was too hard for me to learn any Tita from Sifu Learn Chung. He was so traditional,
Yes.
and that was for his own family, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
But when I went to Hong Kong, Hak Lok Jeum, I've got a video of that as well, and Sifu Sam as well was there, and he was showing how to put the bones in, what medicine to use, each joint, and how to mix it and how to apply it. And he uses 2 different types of powders, Yahoo Yiho, right?
Yahoo, yeah.
Yeah, so you got a powder for fresh injuries and old injuries.
Injury, yeah.
Right?
Sunshine,
So it's kind of like it's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And to mix that and how to apply it, but I wouldn't be putting joints into place. Yeah, that takes a lot of skill. I'd rather someone go to hospital for that.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. And obviously that looking around your gun and all that, he must have given you a lot of secret formulas.
I've got some good formulas.
Good formulas, and then it's sort of kept for your inner gauging, obviously. And then I think that you've got some also that is to sell on your website as well for your Warrior Body Good Mind.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, we'll take another break with the viewers, and then we'll come back for the next segment.
Yeah.
Gary, I'd like to come back to my question as well, and flow on to the next question. Obviously, that this is going to be a very hard question for me to ask you, and it's probably a personal feeling that you're going to have to tell me. But I'm getting up and personal with you now, close and personal. Now, the passing of Leung Chung and Hak Lok Jeum, and that was a very, very challenging period in your life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the worst day of my life, actually.
The worst day of your life.
Got a call. I knew Sifu, he was fighting cancer, bowel cancer, and he got it removed, and then everyone thought it was successful. He ended up going back to teaching at the park every Sunday at Centennial Park, and then he, a few years later, come back and it took him, and that was the worst day of my life. Yeah.
So, I just want to let the viewer know too, we have 2 photographs, pictures behind us, and this is Ha Hong Sigong, and this is Leung Chung Sifu, which is the person we're talking about now, Leung Chung Sifu. So we'll get a shot of that. Fantastic. Now getting back to Leung Chung passing, and then you also had another news about Hagok Jung.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So Sifu passed away in 1999.
yeah.
So I had to continue my training, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
and kept going back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Then Sam and I, we
Yeah.
got together and made the first Yokomun
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
and DVD
Yes.
in honour for Sifu.
Yeah, so I actually got a copy of that.
Yeah, okay,
and it's
yeah.
really good production,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And I think it's a collection, it's a collector items.
Sold out.
Sold out, and you have to.
But that was awesome
Yeah.
to give something back.
Yeah.
to give
Yeah, that's fantastic that you can do that.
And then it was 2005 or 2006.
Yeah.
The Yokomun anniversary was on again in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I got some students ready to go over there, and a week before, a few days before, Siba passed away.
Yeah.
And again, two of my idols and mentors were gone. And it's like far out, you know.
So
It's like losing my father.
it's really probably it's probably the worst day of your life. Now, obviously that during that period, you lost two of your mentor, best friend, and you done some soul searching as well, I believe, and I believe that you bumped into another Sifu in Chinatown, which is very famous Sifu as well.
Yeah.
That I know his name is Sifu Connie.
Yeah.
And I know he's from local background.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that story, how you come by meeting well, I know that you know Sifu Connie for a while too.
Yeah. I've known Sifu Cornelius Pavel for a long time. Since I was young, learning Yokomun, he used to come and visit Sifu Sam's school. Yeah, when Sifu retired from teaching, Sifu Sam opened up his own good. And so everyone just congregated there. And at the time, Sifu was also the honorary president of the Chinese Martial Arts Association.
Yes.
Yeah, and then when Sifu retired from that, he passed on the presidency to Connie Sifu, right?
Yes.
And I used to bump into Sifu Connie because I worked in the city, right?
Yes.
In Pitt Street.
Yeah.
And I bumped into him, during lunchtime here and there, and would talk. And of course, I was doing the Untitled Chapter,
Yes.
and I'd ask him questions, and okay, that's interesting. And of course, I know he was still Habaffa at the time.
Yes.
And okay, so I kind of got to not study it from him at the time, I was just actually researching it. And my Sihing Sam started to learn from Sifu Connie the One Yun Yat Hei Jung.
Okay.
Yeah.
The One Yun Yat Hei Jung, which is primordial chaos palm.
One Chi
palm, yes.
And then Sam came and visited me and said, I'm doing this style on the side, and he showed me, well, that's interesting, what's the theories and the principles and methods behind it. And he kind of tried to tell me some, and I went, I need to know more. But Sam moved over to Philippines to live, and there was a time when I couldn't, something happened with Sam, and I wanted to try and tell Sifu Connie that Sam, things have happened in the Philippines, and I needed to just pass it on.
Yes.
And I just got talking to Sifu Connie, and I said, you're still teaching and training? And he goes, yeah, and what are you doing? I said, Yokum Sapa Santoi and Bapu.
Yeah.
And he goes, have you heard of the One Yun? And I've gone, Sam was doing that, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, and he goes, do you want to meet up? So I went around to his house.
Wow.
And he introduced me to that, and then because it's a certain toy journey, right?
Yeah.
When you go from something like Batme, which is fast and external, to internal, you experience things completely different.
It's a different.
When it comes to energy and the mind, it's different to the other hard kung fu, right?
Yes, definitely.
And then when I started to go and seek a higher learning of what I'm doing, because I had Sifu was passed away in Hagwat Germ
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll give this a crack, you know. And then Sifu kind of accepted me, and I Baisi under Connie, and I learned the 1 Yun, and then he forced me to learn the La Buffa.
Forced you to.
But I prefer the 1 Yun than the
Buffa.
Yeah, so I kind of let that go. Yeah.
Now, for my little research, I know there's an incident occurred when Sifu Connie showed you the different powers that came from an external system and also internal system. I know Sifu Connie also is also a Cholifat practitioner, very boxing, yeah. So he was a very proficient boxing guy already, and so I think it was one day that you were asking about a different power, and there was an instant that it really sinked in about the 1 Yun and the internal just a way of producing power and exerting power. So can you tell me a little bit about that? That is still instant?
Okay, well, Sen Toi Jung, Cholifat, Batme all use yin yang, right?
Yeah.
But the 1 Yun is primordial chaos. So before the unity of yin yang was nothing.
The more kick.
Yeah, right? There's no yin yang.
Yeah.
So it's center.
Center.
Right? So Sifu Connie said, I'll show you what we do in Cholifat, and not like even the Loha Bafat they use always back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? So I stood there and he goes, I'll just hit you in the shoulder. So he's gone, you know, the traditional stance, and bang, you know, he's hit me and sent me across the room. That hurt, right?
Really hurt?
Yeah, that hurt. He sent me flying. I'm going, wow, you know.
Wow.
And he goes, that's external. I'm going, well, what the fuck is going to be now?
Is he going to be really now?
So he goes,
He's going to get real serious with you now.
I like the sweat beads, you know. So he goes,
yeah.
In 1 Yun, we don't have a stance yin yang. It's not like Tai Chi roll back.
Roll back,
press,
yeah, press.
And he's just standing there relaxed. And he went, bang! From nowhere, the shock went right through. I thought it popped out my shoulder here.
Wow.
But it was so powerful that I dropped to my knees. Right? And then I started to get shivering. Right?
So you're in shock.
My body went in the shock from a palm.
Wow.
And he had to massage it and, you know, use pressure points and brought it all back. And that was my testimony for learning the 1 Yun, right? And
the feeling must be.
But the difference is there's no tension.
There's no tension.
Yeah. And when you hit, the hand will form wherever it hits. So you're not trying to
tense.
Yeah, and hit like that. It's relaxed and
bang.
Gone.
Wow.
And the pain is just unbearable.
Unbearable, enormous. Obviously, you know, you've put your body in shock, and you know your organs start to shut down.
Yeah,
always.
yeah, exactly. Went
so
definitely straight in the shock, and I'd shake.
That's why.
And I had to sit down for ages, and he gave me water, and Simo would come and freaking massage me.
Yeah, and you know, he would just massage the pressure points.
I don't think he realised how hard he hit me, you know.
Wait,
Maybe he must have gone, oh shit.
God, you know, call the ambulance. But no, it's interesting. I did heard a bit of story about how good his kung fu, you know, was and still is, I suppose.
Well, back in Hong Kong, he was the first person to open up a boxing gym for the Navy, US Navy, and all the ships that come in.
Yeah. And
he had a boxing ring, and he knew Bruce Lee.
He knew all that.
Yeah. So he was into his fighting, and he would try all his Cholifat against these boxers. Yeah. And stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know boxing that really into this sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
the boxing thing, the Sao Chui and the Ba Chui and the Chan Chui, you know. So they're purely famous in that arena. Okay, and we'll take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk about a bit more about Gary's later kung fu learning from another different Sifu. Obviously, now I'm with Gary again, as Garry Sifu, and he's got some really very different equipments and apparatus he's trained his burning palm. and I want to share this with the viewers. Well, we're going to share this with the viewers, and let Gary simply explain the type of powers and training that he uses, type of apparatus or specific type of strike or training. And I want to ask you, Gary, this is a very funny looking thing.
Yeah.
You've got a steel ball here, which is probably a few kilos. You've got a steel bar. How do you use this for? Can you explain?
This is, you know, when you do the dragon dance and you got the pearl and the this is called the dragon chasing the pearl.
Dragon chasing the pearl. Yeah.
And smash the fucking dog. Anyway, this will strengthen up your bridge.
Yes.
Like, so there's different stages. So a beginner, just to stabilise the shoulder joint and develop the whole grip as well, right?
Yeah.
So we use what we call the black dragon claw. Yeah?
Black dragon claw, yeah.
So a beginner will learn how to stand
Right.
up to 100. Everything's done with 108.
108
So
counts.
108 breaths.
Yeah, okay.
And that will build up a strong
Wow,
shoulder. Right?
that's it.
Right.
Serious. Yeah, you can train your bridge like that.
Yeah. So rather than
拆手
手 this will
我段新橋女裝嘅要一住
and also because the weight is forcing my arm down and then now I'm forcing up. So a different muscle group. Right?
Different muscle group from the tricep and the bicep, tricep,
Alright, and then the second lot of exercises is to learn tongue toe.
行空拔背，吞空
releasing,
吞空 releasing 後沉吞吐啦。
Yeah, exactly that. So I'd hold like this. This is for the sun punch, so a straight line like this. From the center out. This one teaches from the center, right? There's a saying like some punching from the heart.
Yeah. 心從手同心口發。
Yeah, right. So from here you swallow like this. But you got to try and keep it stable, not.
Not whipping it away, but straight.
So see, tongue.
Okay, so this is a very straight line there. See the viewers, you can see there's a very straight line there where he gets the power.
And you squeeze every inch out like this. See your hand tight.
You can get very, very powerful, short power from this punch.
Well, this teaches, it teaches power from here all the way out.
All the way out.
Not just from here. So power could be really close.
And bang, and
And then we learn foul chum.
Foul chum. Yeah.
And this is like for learning from here to snap, right?
Snap.
So you're learning this.
Yeah.
So you learn
breaking hand. Yin yang breaking hand.
And grabbing like that. So.
In fact, that's one of the. I just want to. This is very similar to what we use in Doxegwan. One of the movement where we go like that.
Okay,
which is drinking and then come back like that.
Well, some styles use a long pole.
Yeah.
So it's same. This is small and heavy.
So you made that yourself, yeah?
Yeah. The instructions was a ball on the end of a pole. And I made this one according to Dubai.
The way, okay. We can actually maybe make this student as well. Now, I want to talk about this other piece of equipment. This is, you've got ball bearings inside it. And what do you use that for?
Okay, this is called the rolling bar.
Rolling bar.
In the old days, it was made of bamboo, right? Yeah. Well, that jug put one.
Doing jug tong. Yeah. And then.
That needs a.
So it's made out from this sort of bamboo material.
Yeah, right.
So what made you go into a steel bar or steel shots?
Well, some styles will actually don't have anything inside.
Yeah.
Right, and according to what this is, the rolling the bar, that noise, that vibration, is also when you kill salt.
Yeah.
Your intent, your chi, as soon as I feel you move, then, so the vibrations of this, I have to learn to recognize rolling up and down the arm. And feel the chi, right? The vibration inside this is so your external is this outside, and the rolling, the vibration is your chi
inside, so you learn to recognize it with the steel shot.
Yeah. So rolling the bar isn't just about conditioning; it's also about the feeling.
The feeling.
And again. Forward and back. Yeah.
That's very, very unique because a lot of styles actually don't have this sort of.
Grandmaster do a way to talk about the live force.
The life force. Yeah.
It has to be alive. That's what that rolling is.
Rolling
inside,
is,
rather than dead force, like a lot of kung fu systems use a weightlifting bar, and there's nothing rolling inside, so there's no
rolling.
live force.
Yeah. Now this is fantastic. This is basically very different to when we in Untitled or the Hakka, we put the bamboo pole or the steel bar, we use flick it to get the power gain, the lifting gain. Obviously this is for rolling, and do you still use the steel bar to do the other gain? No need. Okay, alright.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
what you're going to flick it to someone else and
flick it to someone else because
more like a party trick, right?
Party trick and all that.
So you can do that yourself like this, right?
Yeah.
You can lift it up and flick if you want.
If you want, yeah.
But it's more of this is to train the mind. That rolling gets annoyed.
And you feel the vibration. Interesting, very interesting.
Try that, and you just keep going. So, and you're going to roll like this. It's got to be fluid up and back.
Well, I need a lot of I need a lot of time to train.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's interesting, very interesting. So this is the second apparatus for the burning pump system, which we're going to talk about a bit later with you.
Yep.
Now, also
claw bags.
Yeah, claw bags.
Again, steel ball bearing.
Yeah, steel ball bearing. And this is what your tiger claw or eagle claw?
Yeah,
Wu
Jiao, whatever.
Yeah.
So you'll be catching it and grab, and you want to squeeze as if you grab the muscle.
Grab or grab the bicep or Georgia. Very interesting.
So you do like exercises low, medium, and then high.
So
coming under the ball kill.
Yeah. So you're covering different angles.
Yeah, and then with a partner, like you over there, you stand over there.
Yeah. Well, I'll stand over here.
Stand over there, and you chuck it to each other, right? Like this.
I'm not a very good catcher.
Right. So get your hand.
I'm very good at playing football, but not very good at doing this.
So get your hand-eye coordination, and just to quickly grab. And not only that, again, because of the weight, builds up the
bridge and everything, all your muscles, even the core at the same time in real time. Because I'm throwing things at you.
That's when you do like Kama or Kama like this, right?
Yeah.
So when I was chapping it then, rather than I just do that, I use my wrist to go flick.
Like
this,
to get that, and so I'm doing things at real time, and you're training at real time. So I'm throwing things at.
And when you got like a group of students, you have like 2 or 3 bags, and you can actually start moving in different stances. Yeah.
That's a very interesting training regimen. Now, the balls. Obviously, this.
That's your all yao gong.
But this is a very heavy item. This is It's
25 kilo.
25 kilo granite or marble ball? Or?
Granite.
Granite, yeah. So what do you use that for?
CG Gongo, line rolling the ball.
Line rolling the ball.
Yeah, but there's different weights, right? Like this here.
This is, I'm just
Okay, in Yalkumun, we use wood, stone, metal.
Metal.
Yeah. And then last, just the chi, right?
Just the chi.
So you build the body up. When you use a light ball, you train the muscles different, and you can't roll a heavy ball because it stops the flow.
Yeah, okay, alright.
So you would use the heavy ball for the other exercises.
Yes, okay.
So what you'd use with this, and you're training with the ball, for the rolling, for the heavy ones you use a different one. Because you want and then you also throw the heavy one.
Yeah.
So you get the ging to release.
You release the ging, and the other one is more roll the body, getting the circles going in your body, the roundness in your body, and then
if you're gonna, most people think you get ging by practicing form.
Well, but that's how we perceive. You know, when we're learning the form, and we're very, you know, at the very beginning, everyone's saying that, you know, I've got a tension go, and that's a ging. But I know that ging can, as I perceive, ging is not, it's a different thing now. Ging, it cannot be feel. It can be shown onto an object, or can be felt by another person.
To me, personally, ging is only felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. People can look good and shake, and you know, and people go, "Wow, that's awesome."
That's ging.
But yet, I've never seen any of them hit a bag or any hard and see if they can transfer.
Transfer again, yeah.
Okay. Demonstration looks really pretty, but there's a difference.
Yeah.
Now, when you train the ball and you throw that ball,
Yeah.
all power output goes out.
So it's one.
So when you do this, your arm only goes so far. But when you're pushing against something, I go boom. I release that whole
power into that object, and then the object goes there.
Yeah.
So it's very different to dynamic tensioning, you know, and that's not really ging. That's just dynamic tensioning. You know, I understood that a long time ago. I mean, I practiced this kung fu with my brother and a few other kung fu brothers, and we always debate on that, you know.
Yeah.
But no, you just basically ding.
So ging to me is felt. Like for instance, shock power. People, you know, they go, you know, use this, and they look all, right? And it's just explosiveness, right?
Yeah.
That is, right? And it's a small, fast switch fibers.
Yeah.
So some people they've trained those fibers to jerk and move, and it looks good, right? But true shock power is just like when I got hit by Connie,
and
the shock of being hit. When you get hit, you go into shock. It's not a shock of. Right?
That's basically just.
When you get hit, the person feels shocked.
But that's where the shock is. That's the end result.
Yeah, that's the true power.
The true power, because the other guy will feel it.
Yeah, and like if you use the tongue ging and it springs, it comes out and back. Yeah. Like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just.
Oh!
It'll continue.
Yes.
It's not like a one shot.
And then it goes in.
It continues and
continues.
It springs back. And your body with the one breath and then continues and moves. So your body is continuing to rebound.
And the power continues to deliver, and the exerting power.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take another break, and we'll come back to the next segment. Thank you. Welcome back, viewers. Now, Gary, I want to ask you, after Connie Sifu, you learned Yat Zhang, and then you went to another Sifu called the Wei Sifu, or the Wei Zhong Si. And so I know that from my research, he was actually very early in his career. He's based in Hong Kong. He was in the film industry, and then he moved to America, in California. And he was teaching a system, his family system with Bak Fu Pai. And how did you get to heard about all this Bak Fu Pai, and how did you get involved with learning his Kung Fu?
Okay.
Well, I have to put you. I have to ask you the hard questions. You agreed to this interview.
Yeah. Okay. Back in the 90s, I was doing Yalgamun, and all the Kung Fu magazines. Had a gentleman called Jim Lacey, heaven forbid I say that word, and he was showing some coconut breaking and stuff like that, and because I was doing Sergeant with Yalgamun anyway, I've gone, okay, well this is their iron palm, what's Bak Fu Pai, White Tiger, you know?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, and then he talked it up really well, and every magazine was having some type of white tiger.
Yes, I remember those articles.
Chico Kung Fu magazine always had something about Bak Fu Pai and Grandmaster Du Wei, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, I went out and got coconut, and I had to have a crack at it. Yeah.
Because you was just tempted to see if you could do this.
Do
the same.
Yeah, do the same, and I did it, right? And that was with the Yalgamun Iron Palm.
Yeah.
But it kind of like the more I read all these articles about Bak Fu Pai, and I was like, oh, this is really mysterious art and stuff like that. But also there was techniques that were similar to Bak Mei.
Yeah.
So, well, apparently, according to Sifu Du Wei, Fong Dodak and Bak Mei, they trained in the same temple in Normay Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that they crossed systems.
Cross system, yeah.
So Bak Mei will have the Laoyup germ,
Yeah.
and then they'll have the Bak Fu,
And there's claw.
the claw.
Yeah.
But the techniques were similar, but Bak Mei a bit more linear, when the Bak Fu Pai was more circular.
Yes.
So I've gone, oh, okay, I can see some really good points about Bak Fu Pai,
Yeah.
although I was a bit hesitant at the time, and I ended up getting some footage of Bak Fu Pai and some of the methods, and you know, I thought, I heard that Grandmaster Du Wei was dead back in the 90s.
But he was very much
He
alive.
was alive, and I never had a computer until 2000. So
Right, okay.
you know, so I started writing to this Lacey guy.
James Lacey.
Yeah,
about-
to find
trying to find more information about the way.
So he started to,
Yeah.
you know, being a businessman he is, he sold me some stuff and I really liked it, and that put me on the path of learning. And then I, being on Kung Fu Online and all that, I actually got to meet someone that was doing some training with Grandmaster Du Wei. So I asked if I could be introduced, and that's when I started to talk to him, and I showed him my Kung Fu, and he said, oh, Gary, your Kung Fu is good, and blah, blah, blah. And so I started training.
So he's training and start taking you in and teaching you.
But the thing for me, what really got me was his style called the burning palm.
The Forger.
Yeah, Forger, it's fire palm actually.
Yeah.
Which it's apparently originated in Tibet.
Yeah.
They migrated to China.
Yeah.
Around the Normay Mountain area.
So it's all Normay Mountain and then eventually make its way to Gondor area.
What happened when it got to China? It could have been mixed. It could have had other things. I don't know. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's a great system, and I was actually learning the Humboldt Bak Mei from Du Wei.
Du Wei's first, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about the type of Kung Fu that Du Wei had. Obviously, a few systems, and then from Dodak, even from the mountain Tibet, and it's passed through his family. See, from my research in Hong Kong and in China and in Macau, there isn't any written text about Bak Fu Pai and the type of Kung Fu that's inherited by the Do's family. I mean, there's nothing about the Do's family. Yeah. So obviously that it is a family system, and in China there's a lot of Kung Fu system that kept within the family, and you know, if the offspring or the sibling it passed away, they don't get passed around, so we get lost. So would it be fair not to say this is a very family-orientated system that has been passed over to the outsider until now?
He never wanted to actually release Bak Fu Pai to the public. He said it was never supposed to be given to outside of the Du family, ever. But in the 70s, he decided to start teaching some of the Bak Fu Pai to the public, and some of the big names in Hollywood.
In the film industry, obviously.
As well as the martial artists, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, and all, Douglas Wong from the White Lotus. We're all friends with Grandmaster Du Wei.
Yeah, obviously I saw a lot of pictures of his old pictures and all that, and I spoke to him on the phone, and he's shown me a lot of pictures, and I've done my research on it. And indeed, he was very, very
charismatic.
Charismatic characters in the Hong Kong industry.
He was a classic.
He was a classic, and even up to I think 5-6 years ago, or even 8 years ago, he sent me pictures with all the film stars in Hollywood, you know. You know, Chris Brown and all that. So I know that it's in a different caliber. Now, what I really want to ask you about, he has a lot of meditation, type of training. And what's that got to do with something that you're training external or doing qigong? Is the meditation that important? It's a larger part of the Du Wei system, or?
Yeah, according to Grandmaster Du Wei, Bak Fu Pai is pure internal. Yeah, purely internal.
Pure internal. Okay.
The meditations, the herbs, the tonics, the soups is a big part of developing, cultivating the chi.
Okay.
That then powers your hand forms.
Right. Okay.
Because when you're doing moving meditations, you start to feel where your center is better, rather than try and fast form, and you've got no connection with your own inner self. Yeah.
Right.
So the meditations help with the cultivation of chi, the meridians, the health benefits are awesome, but it gives you that connection of the internal with your external together.
Right, okay. So that's a major part of it, obviously, it's a large part. It's actually, you've got the total part of it. And
have to go hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Now, so I'm probably aware that when you learn from Du Wei, is through a video program, isn't it?
Yeah.
A very personal, detailed video program. And I must stress this to the viewers that there is a lot of instructional video out there commercially made. And they're okay to use as a reference to train with your Sifu, and there's nothing wrong using that. And I have used that for many time in my martial art learning. But I do believe this video that he give you and send you, they're very detailed.
Yeah.
And how, as a martial artist, you have learned from, for instance, Leung Chung Suk, and you learn from Ha Kok Zheng, you learn from John Stuttle. There's a lot of Sifu like Sifu Connie, and they're the real person in front of you, and now you're learning from a video.
Yeah.
How's that possible? And what is your experience, and what can you share with us?
Well, I think, lucky for me, I had a good foundation already. I was a bit hesitant to do all this, but something was driving me. I wanted to know about Grandmaster Du Wei. I've seen a lot of different clips of him, especially about the chi.
Yeah.
And of course, I was on the internal path. For me, it's all about internal. So when it comes to learning from a DVD or clips like that, it has to be in detail. But not only as I'm learning from the instructional clips that he sent me, but we always chatted. We're always sending messages and emails, and I'd ask questions, he'd give them back, and then I'd go over in my head and stuff like that, and then I'd work it out, do a clip of me, send it back, he'll say, yeah, but this or do that, and then I'd find out how. So
it was just constantly
refining,
fine-tuning through clips and movement, and then eventually you just ace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to have detail. Otherwise, if you just say, "Oh, follow me," do like a Tai Chi form.
It had no meaning.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a bunch of movements.
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
I wouldn't want to do it. I want to know every aspect. With the rise and fall. What am I feeling? What am I doing?
Define it.
Where's it coming from? I have to know. Otherwise, I can't.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, with Du Wei, I mean, obviously that he has a lot of secret formula and herbs and things like that, and tonics and how hard was it to get that off him?
He was out of all the Sifu, he was the one that was most generous.
Is it?
Yeah. And I think because he wanted me to teach his art.
How to the wider public.
And he knew that I already knew Tita from Yaoguman.
So you had a very sound foundation, a very strong foundation.
So all he was doing is sharing his formulas. This goes for that system or that system, and then the gua sha and all that.
Yeah.
All that type of stuff.
Fantastic. We'll take a break and we'll come back for more of Du Wei in 10 minutes. Welcome back, viewers. I want to ask you something about. I have some clips of Du Wei demonstrating the power. Now, the power is called Ging Zap Ging, and it can be called Song Ging. The power is very, very enormous when hitting an object. It actually break things like coconuts from there. Now, I saw him and on the clip that he put a coconut, and he's shown this in front of the camera. He hit it with a hammer, and there was no break at all. And he put it in this plastic bag, and his friend held it up, and he smashed it. Now, when he smashed his coconut, he was just talking very casually.
Yeah.
There was no preamble, anything like that. There was no breathing. There was no tensioning. He just went there and snapped it. And I remember when he looking at the clip that it's almost like a distance of probably about 15 centimeters as he snapped his palm and the thing just broke. I mean, really broke. When the person took the coconut out of the bag and water just fell everywhere. Yeah. And also I saw another clip of he doing another demo where he placed a block of tofu, bean curd, and he had this coconut on top of it, and he smashed this coconut, and obviously that it's a little bit of tofu on the side, chip that came and flied out, and so I was being a very scientific person. Obviously I've got a chemistry degree, and I was analysing frame by frame, and then I had a shock in my life. I actually said, hang on, this is not what other people are talking about. Other people are saying that he actually pushed the coconut that hard enough to hit the table, it smashed up. But when I roll back to the video, yes, when his palm hit the coconut, the actual coconut exploded, and that's where a piece of the coconut actually chipped the tofu. Now, how that is possible? In science, that is not possible at all.
It's crazy.
It's beyond metaphysics.
Yeah, I know.
So now
that's why we're going back to ging, right?
Yeah.
Ging is felt, not in the air, not shaking and looking good, doing a form. Yeah. It's actually releasing it on something. And true ging, if you hit someone with ging, they're out. They're down.
They're down.
So that's what Grandmaster Duway would say. Anyone with true ging, they wouldn't be alive or they wouldn't get up.
Because he would just
one hit
would just
destroy
the internal organ and shut it right down.
So and that's why you do all the conditioning in the bag and all the exercises to try and develop that power. Otherwise, you're just going to be doing forms.
Okay.
it's not going to develop anything. And I even say it on my Jikbo DVD.
Yeah,
punching the air is not ging.
It's not ging. It's basically just tensioning and it's showing the tension.
Yeah, it's understanding the body, but it's not ging.
Yeah, it's just starting tensioning, releasing. Now, I put up a clip on our Facebook group that Hayden held a bag, and I was a bit worried about Hayden getting hurt, right? And he put this, and he put the coconuts in and you smashed it, and you smashed this thing in the air too, like this thing was held in the air. Now, you're getting very, very close to Dewey's art, isn't it? Do you think you're getting very close to what the Grandmaster have achieved? Or are you halfway there? Are you getting there?
I'm on the path, but like how he broke the coconut in the bag, and he's talking, bang, just out.
Yeah.
That's what ging's supposed to be. Yeah. If you have to stand there and go, then you're thinking, you're tension already. In a fight, boom, it's out. It's subconscious, right?
Subconscious, yeah.
So if he's talking whack, it comes out. That's true ging. From nothing to something, rather than here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, bang. That's not ging. Ging has to be from totally relaxed, song, bang, out.
And that's just ging. That's true ging. And I would actually agree with that because I've seen what you have done with that coconut, and it's incredible.
That was probably one of the best
break
I've done.
I saw you actually had another break.
It hurt.
I saw you, but you're pretty conditioned. I mean, you got back into it and you smashed 2 coconuts stacked up, the following day, and I saw you just smash it, and both coconuts split, and that's what's incredible because you have 2 circular sphere stacking on one on top of the other, and the power, it's not like you're breaking a concrete block or that where we put your matchsticks there in spaces, You're actually smashing some of this 2 sphere, and the power has to be dead center right to split something like that. That's just incredible to me. I mean, even on the wall, when you're trying to smash something downward, and something's placing against the wall and you're trying to do this vertically, it's a different power. And you're able to even do that vertically, and that's really impressive.
And that's where it comes down to what you train, it has to be realistic for fighting, right? Yeah. If I head up against the wall, I'm going to use whatever I train, you know. So you train as if you're going to fight.
Okay.
Yeah. You condition as if you're going to go in and fight one of the best fighters in the world.
Right. Okay.
You got to have that mentality. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
if you're just so-so and you just, you know, I'm doing this for the health, that's fine, you know. But if you want people to go, you know, your kung fu is good.
Yes.
You got to be good at not just your forms. You got to look healthy. You know, you got fat Tai Chi masters and you know, every style has a fat master. You know, so if you're
finish until the fat man finishes.
If your kung fu is real kung fu, it'll be effective. It would show your body looks like a kung fu man, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, absolutely. I totally agree with that. You know, you must have all these layers intact as a kung fu person, as a true kung fu person. I want to get back into the burning palm system. Obviously, not many viewers understand or understood how this thing works, and it's hardly heard of. But you are trying to promote that very much in your in your Facebook group and also with your instructional videos, things like that. And I know you have a large group of students right across the world, even some in China and Hong Kong now. And can you tell me a bit more about this burning palm system and how it actually works? The training and the
Well, apart from the history, it originated in Tibet, possibly with the Bonpo tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, migrated to the Normay Mountains in China.
Right.
What was added or mixed, I don't know. Really, I don't care. Right? Because to me, it's an awesome art. Okay, so the system's based on working with the times of day. Right? So there's a morning practice, which is considered the spiritual part. Right? So you sit facing east with the sunrise and you breathe in the sun through the eyes, which opens up the pineal and pituitary gland.
Right, okay.
So for your third eye.
Third eyes.
Is open. And then you do a moving meditation called the Wind Amongst the Clouds, with a visualization that you are floating in the clouds. And that will give you that lightness and relax. And so we're working with the elements of nature. Okay. The wind or air, as well as the sun, fire, right? In the morning.
Okay.
Then at midday, we work on what we call the Songtanking, the relaxed, springy power, which contains striking bags, all the conditioning of the body. Because in the morning you're going from yin to yang, right? So you're waking up the body, and then at midday it gets extreme yang.
Because
it's the highest in the sky at midday, right? Midday. So now we're getting yang. So the fighting element is yang.
Very interesting.
So we're gathering as much yang energy for the Songtanking. Right? So the bag training, and then there's meditations for each level with the different bags or the different devices. And then the night is for the healing, and works with the moon. So now we're learning the sun is the electromagnetic and the magnetic energy of the moon through the eyes.
Wow.
Gathering the yin yang forces in the dantian.
It's all interrelated. So wow, that's a very, very, very full-on system.
So it's spiritual, combat, and then you got the healing side.
Right. Okay. So is there a form or some form, or it's just basic move or sun move or sequence?
There's each hanging bag will contain a certain combination of hand techniques, right?
Okay.
So each level gets different hands. Like in the first level of Songtanking, we call the 5 shadows, the Ming.
Right.
And there's 5 different hand strikes, which is then conditioned on the bag. And then there's the meditation that go with that form. Or that. So straight from the get-go, you learn how to strike. There's no form to learn, so there's a mixture of conditioning and meditation. And the Songtanking comes from the relaxation of the meditations,
Yeah.
and then learning to when you expand and contract
Right.
of your tendons.
Okay.
So there's the springiness. So when you push out like this, you start to feel that it's coming back by itself.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Rather than you go and spring back.
Spring back.
When you feel your tendons start to engage, it wants to come back. Right? So this is where it becomes internal.
Yeah, because you're not doing externally trying to pull back,
Yeah.
or you're trying
You
to
feel
bounce
where
out.
it wants to come back.
Okay.
When you engage it, so as you stretch,
Yeah.
don't lock though, but feel where the muscle's going to engage and then wants to pull back.
Ah.
Without you going back, allow it to spring back naturally.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
So there's a finer point to able to sense that.
Yeah.
Because this.
So that's why it's internal.
That's why it's internal.
You can't do it by going and doing all this.
Yeah, that become external.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? You can only feel it when it's soft. Sung. You got to be in the sung state.
Sung.
And when you're in the sung state, we talk about the sphere, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in the center of that circle.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm doing hum da boy and chum boy chum da and all that,
Yeah.
I'm already stuck in a position. I'm at the bottom of the circle. Yeah?
Yeah.
But if I'm relaxed, I'm in the center, then I can I can rise, fall, expand, contract. Right? I can explode in any of the six
So
directions.
there's 6 directions. You're
Yeah.
not confined to just one.
Yeah, if I'm stuck like this, then I can only go forward. If I want to go up, I've got to release first and then come up.
Go up.
But if I'm in relaxed, I can drop and hit. I can come up and hit. Yeah.
So you basically can just bring it on straight away.
Yeah.
Now, obviously now understood there's different levels that you train with different bags. So obviously you got many bags, different type of bags.
8 levels of the Sung Tang Gi.
So each level, the bags, the content in the bag is a very different.
This is the most important. This is what separates this style from many others.
that you have learned before,
Yeah.
and many others that you see.
that are out there that I've researched, and this has just blown my mind, right?
Okay.
Because each bag or each device that we use replicas the body.
Okay.
So level 1 is half sand, half cotton.
Yeah.
So the sand replicates the hard muscle. But the cotton is the skin
Skin.
or the fascia, right?
Wow.
So we've got to try and penetrate the skin and get to the muscle.
Right. Okay.
So that's the first level
What's that?
of damaging the muscle or
Some
stuff like that.
tissues.
Yeah, the
Okay.
tissue, right? So that's the first part of learning.
So then obviously the next part of the bag is different construction again
Yeah.
until then
Chatsing Jern, we've got
Chatsing.
7-star palm,
Like that.
which is based, and it's all cotton.
It's all cotton.
All cotton, hanging, yeah, it's a cotton bag. Yeah.
So it's,
So now we're going for organs.
oh right, okay.
Yeah? And then the third,
That's really different. I mean, all cotton inside a bag.
yeah, right? So it's softer. So now we're trying to penetrate the chi through,
Wow.
right? And then we've got the elbows, yeah? And then we've got salmon kin,
Yeah.
which is bamboo. You're hitting wood, and that replicates the
Rib cage.
and the bony parts of the body.
How genius is that? I mean, I never thought about using bamboo.
So everything that we learn to condition and feel, and at the same time, just say for instance, level 1 when we do the bag, because half sand, half cotton,
Yeah.
when we start to do massage and the healing,
Yeah.
you're learning to not only punch it, but
Yeah.
to go through
For
the
muscles.
Yeah.
Okay.
through the skin to the
For this
muscle.
muscle
Yeah, so you start to learn about the body, the anatomy.
of the body and then what you're trying to.
Yeah, so we're trying to get as close as we can
Yeah.
to a human
Yeah.
because you're doing your practice by yourself, yeah?
Okay. Fantastic. Now we can chat all day about this system, but then we'll have to have a special segment on the burning palm, for our viewers in later videos. But we'll take a break, another 5 minutes break, and we'll come back to Garry Sifu, and we'll ask him some really hard question now.
Rock and roll.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm with Garry Hearfield Sifu from Warrior Body Buddha Mind, and we'll ask him a few more questions, and we'll probably shoot around his school and show you some of these very, very precious apparatus and also kung fu weapon and also did medicine that he kept in this place. But meanwhile, I want to ask him some really modernized question, and these are the questions that a lot of viewers had wrote message to me and gave me sent me email and asked me specifically about double MMA. Now, I want to ask you about double MMA. Obviously, I got students that learned Tong Long from me in the 80s and now learning double MMA and they're doing cage fights. What is your view about double MMA? Now, obviously that I saw a video that two very well-known, famous Hong Kong Sifu from Hong Kong. And they were asked this question in the University of Technology in Hong Kong, and basically a student came out and asked him about Muay Thai, double MMA training being very realistic. And we, in our traditional Kung Fu, we don't do many this type of training anymore, and we become more form performer. And so therefore that they had asked this question to Sifu, and the Sifu basically had not answered the question directly. Now, I hope that you will answer this question directly with me.
We'll go.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the line now, and if you want to stop the interview any time, all can stop.
No,
Okay.
let's go.
Okay, let's go. So, what is your view on double MMA against traditional arts?
I'm a lover of MMA. Follow the UFC and all that cage fighting, because this day and age, Kung Fu has lost. To me, most Kung Fu skills have lost the combative side, and due to performances, lion dancing, and the culture of Kung Fu and the Chinese culture, the combat now is lost. Like back in the 80s,
yes,
it was always competition, Kung Fu fighting.
Yes.
Even from school to school would interact and fight with each other.
Yeah.
But now, a lot of it's gone.
Yeah.
But I think MMA is exposed almost every style,
Yeah.
and I love it because it just shows that most people that are training the Kung Fu, they believe they've got the ging, they believe that all their forms is going to work
in real time.
in real time, but all you have to do is hop into a ring and find that all the things that they're doing will not work when you got a real fighter.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
a lot of viewers actually express their feeling too in my to me in private email and ask me all this question. Obviously, I have spoken to a lot of Sifu about this topic, and some viewers basically said, a lot of these Kung Fu people, we see them to be very good, and when they get into the ring, they become like a second-class kickboxer. All their Kung Fu is not being shown in the match. Like they could not use it in the actual fighting form, in the actual match. Rather than they decide to kickboxing, and going back to kickboxing type of technique. And this is where it's confused a lot of the young martial artists learning from traditional Kung Fu. Is that why we're doing all this form and yet we're going in the ring and fight like this?
well, to me, kickboxing is the basics of Kung Fu, right?
Wow, that's refreshing. I haven't heard from that.
Because you stand, a punch is a punch, right? A jab, cross, right?
Okay.
Bilji, chuntoi, or sachoi.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's when you're moving, you can't be standing still like you're doing your form. When you're up against someone that's rushing in and using the angles. So the difference of form training compared to a reality-based type of training, you have to train the fight. Your Kung Fu has to be, the way you train has to be for reality.
It has to be functional.
Yeah, functional, exactly. So when it comes to MMA, they're not doing anything different. They've just taken the basics of Kung Fu, fucked the form off, pissed the form off, and just put it to use.
Yeah.
A jab, a cross, an uppercut, you've got pow choi, you've got your hooks, your cup choi and all that. It's all part of what they're doing, but they just refine it into a jab, cross, hook, uppercut, which is still Kung Fu.
Yes.
You know, the bob and weave, you know, when you're practicing your forms and you're doing stuff, you've got all that. But most people go, oh, you're doing kickboxing, not kung fu. And it's not true. Real kung fu is you're still moving, you're still got to move. It's a natural thing, right?
It's a natural progression.
Yeah. If you're going to stand there and do this and, you know, you're going to get your ass handed to you.
Get owned by a double-handed guy.
You got to look at reality.
Yeah,
If this is a ring competition, right? We're talking inside the cage, and then the other person's on the other side of the ring or the cage. You've got time. You're moving forward. You're relaxed or whatever, or you're shitting yourself. Doesn't matter. And then you got to respond, react subconsciously. You can't stand there and think, I'm going to go from a punch, and going to, and start doing a form, because the guy's not throwing you that or feeding you that. He's coming to take you out. If he's at close range, he's going to shoot, take you down. If that's their specialty on the ground. Some MMA fighters are just great stand up and they'll smash it standing up.
I've seen a lot of them.
So MMA is truly kung fu. It's just without the forms. And just doing the pad work. Like the burning palm, the yolkum one. We do all pads all the time. You know? Take away the forms and you've got only a few hands that you're going to use. Straight line, uppercuts, hooks, and hammers. Hammers. Knees, elbows, forearms, and that is realistic fighting.
This is basically this is probably an elaboration of stand-up striker fighters. Now, the other parts, a lot of kung fu people don't like to get onto the ground. They don't want to learn the ground fight. They have problem in the clinch range. I remember the game has shifted greatly from the early days of Gracie, which now basically suited all they have all counters, all the John locks and all the submissions and all that. So basically, a lot of kung fu people are still. Welcome back, viewers, and I just want to ask you a few more questions, Gary, before we leave this. We wrap this interview up on the
chapter one.
Chapter one. Chi Sao, obviously in Southern Mantis, in Wing Chun, in Tai Chi, in some of the Bagua systems, we have Chi Sao and all that. And what is your thought about Chi Sao, and is it really that functional in a situation in the ring where two different fighters are fighting? And I'm trying to do Chi Sao because I know that a lot of Wing Chun people don't do Chi Sao, they do Lat Sao. I mean, they lat, which is there's no connection, it's loose end, So basically, they would jam in, like if someone want to punch in, they would wedge in, bang straight. So it's like a tanda pak da, right? In Southern Mantis, I rarely see. From my lineage, we're basically just smashing the bridge and chopping the trunk, right? We hardly do any of these sort of scientific exercises. When we do jumps, basically is do the same anlik, and that's we train the life power that way. But to me that's only bridge development and all that. But when you're fighting a boxer or someone is shooting in very quickly or punching, kick and shooting in, so how would you think that do you think the Chi Sao actually works at all? Or this is personally, that's your input.
I think it's used in the wrong content.
Okay.
Rather than you punch, I'm going to try and stick, I would actually punch and then continue. So even if as I'm going to hit you, you're going to put your hands up, and then I'm going to boom, in, rather than you punch it, then I'm going to try and do this and
and all that.
So whatever I do, and I feel that, then I can move through. Rather than I'm going to stand there and play this. Although we do practice just for the sensitivity, because if we start to grapple and we're doing this, we start to learn how to use the sensitivity, but not from a fighting aspect of time and doing this. It's like when I come in and when we start to wrestle, I can feel your sensitivity. So it's more of a whole body sensitivity. To get into a shoot, or a body lock, takedown, stuff like that.
Well, I do understand that you're not staying at a specific distance. You're trying to do the Chi Sao. I mean, when we do Chi Sao, basically, that I'm also from a bit of Russian background from my school days when I used to train with my brother. But obviously now what you're just showing me now is that you're basically from a trapping range, you're already into the shoot range, you know,
Yeah.
or clinch range,
Yeah.
and you're doing this within a split second.
Yeah,
So
if I go for that punch and you don't put the hand up,
Yeah.
I just hit you in the face anyway.
yeah, anyway,
But if I know that
you're
if
gonna
I
have to,
feel that, it's
Yeah.
either now
Yeah.
that I
I'll
can
move.
continue this
Yeah.
force, or I'm going to move and go straight
so
there, do something else.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stand
So
there
yeah,
and do
and
toy
toy
sale
yeah.
and stuff
So,
like that
because
without a realistic understanding.
yeah.
There'd have to be a complete meaning for it. Like I would use all this sensitivity to learn how to take down and wrestle,
Okay.
not just as a punching range.
That's a very good explanation.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different angle looking at the chi style, because a lot of people don't look at it like that. They really feel that, you know, why everything's kind of work with your partner and everything's dead straight and everything's perfect angle. When they get into the ring, they found it also trouble because the angles are changing. The center lines is changing on the level. The center lines changing as well, and this is why that they had a lot of problem with it. And a lot of my friends, actually are Wing Chun friends, and they're now doing double MMA. So they have a different view about Wing Chun too. Now Wing Chun helped in certain part of the double MMA training, but it can't be the whole of the double MMA now, because basically the fighters are faster.
Yeah.
They can deliver a lot of things, and they can shoot, they can take down, they can.
I think when it comes to in your own school, the people that play chi sao and all the sensitivity, it becomes the person that's done it more would be better.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and if it's the same thing they're doing over and over again, you just get better at the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you look at it as, I would use the sensitivity to get into a takedown or a grab or a body lock or a submission, rather than I'm going to stand there and then you throw a punch and I trap and I'm going to do this and that. In realistic, you're not going to be trapping anything. You know?
It's too fast.
Too fast. The hands are
And the
moving.
fight is too efficient nowadays.
Yeah, just
Okay.
the hands are moving so fast with legs. There's no time for a trap and hit.
Okay.
It's just constant counter punching and striking. Yeah. But if we do clash and we've come to here, then from here I can now start to learn to get new chokes on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm going to stand there and then you punch and I'm going to go, and then you block me and you come up and okay.
We can do this forever.
It had to go from one straight
into
bang,
and straight away into attacking mode, into the
constant, like it's like
it's
like
kind of like a corkscrew.
yeah.
Go
Rather
straight
than
down.
I'm standing there and we're going to be at this distance.
And we'll keep that distance.
Yeah.
It's rather than like the old days in which you do taekwondo,
Yeah.
you're going to keep the distance, not going to kick the you.
Look,
And it works. It works very well.
It's like this is why judo, jiu-jitsu are all good, because they'll grab from here, and this is the same as just doing this, right? If we've got time to bridge in the fight, I've got time to grab you. You know?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. That's a very good analogy. Like you know, if I've got time to bridge, I've got time to grab you.
Yeah.
I've got time to screw in and
and
basically,
leg and
and I can you know.
If I'm at this range already, you know, I've got all these weapons to fire.
Yeah.
I don't have to just try and stick with you. You know, if we're at this range, I've got stomps and stuff like that. So I think the way it's taught, you're sticking to a one mindset rather than being open-minded.
Yeah, to be multi-layers and all that. Well, I think the time's got better of us. I hope to end this interview, but I still want to do part 2, which is a lot of your medicines, a lot of your all your collections of weapons and things like that, and also I will probably bring up the double axe that you gave me as a present. I want to show that to Brett on the camera how I use it. But it's been a great pleasure.
No, thank you.
And to interview you, because I've known you for years, and it's really the first time I have a up close personal interview with you. Okay, thank you.
I love this guy.
Okay, and we'll get back to you very, very soon. And welcome for watching Kung Fu Journey and Warrior Body Buddha Mind. Okay.
Peace.
Peace.